Hi there, folks. Welcome to my podcast. My name is Ian. I started these podcasts because I wanted to share to you what it's like being an Irish driver on American roads. So I'll be sharing my driving tales, tips and tricks, and that I've learned about automobiles and my thoughts on drivers and cars worldwide. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. This is the DemonView Drives Podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the DemonView Drives Podcast. I'm Ian, your host, Irish expat, and occasional driver on the wrong side of the road, or as Americans like to call it, the right side. Today we're diving into what it's like to navigate life and traffic as an Irishman living in the USA, from switching sides of the roads to realizing gas isn't the wallet-crushing thought that it used to be, and deciding which country has the worst drivers. I've got stories, opinions, and maybe a few rants to share, so buckle up. It's going to be a fun ride. So let's start with the big one, learning to drive on the right-hand side of the road, which, trust me, is the wrong side. And back in Ireland, we drive on the left-hand side of the road, and it's smelled very civilised for the most part. And what's more, it made perfect sense. Traditionally, the right-hand side of the body is stronger than the left, so when it comes to changing gears and steering, you want your left hand on the gear shift and your stronger right hand turning that steering wheel. But trust America to want to do everything backwards. America wants their weakest hand on the steering wheel, probably because they need that stronger hand for holding up their giant triple double bacon cheese McHeart attack burger. And then we have the next big thing, and that's car size. You see, in Ireland, if you had a 2-litre engine, you were considered royalty, and what you'd pay in car tax and insurance would make sure you spent your money like royalty too. However, the cars were in fact tiny. Now, maybe this is because of the size of some of the narrow little one-lane Irish roads, but the fact is, you better like the person sitting in the passenger seat because they're practically sitting on your lap. I remember a friend from the USA coming over to visit me in Ireland, and at one stage she was cold, and I told her to put her hands in her pockets. There was a bit of an uncomfortable silence as I had to tell her, no, sorry, that's my pocket. And because the engines were so small, you tried to do a 0 to 60 drag race. Well, you want to make an appointment well in advance. Whereas in America, cars aren't judged by the size of their engine, they're judged by how many days or weeks it takes you to slide from the driver's seat over to the passenger seat. I mean, I'm convinced that the only reason that American cars are so big is that's because the drinks holders need to be big enough to hold 2 7-Eleven big gulp cups, which, by the way, if you're not American, that looks a bit like a 55-gallon drum with a handle on it. Plus, America has roads, massive roads, and they go on forever. For instance, in Ireland, you could drive from coast to coast in about 3 hours in traffic. In the USA, though, if you want to drive from coast to coast, it's going to take you about 5 days, and that's assuming you spend 2 nights in a hotel and don't stop for pee breaks. Trust me, I know, I've actually done that road trip earlier this year. My wife and I actually drove from Toronto, Canada to Portland, Oregon, and it took us 5 days to do so, as we did spend some of the time, sleeping. So you'd think that would mean gas prices in Ireland are much cheaper after all. Smaller roads, smaller cars, no need to fit in those 2x55 gallon drums of coffee. Well, that's where you're wrong, so let's talk about gas prices. Gas. Or petrol, as we say back home. Let me tell you, filling up a tank in Ireland is a bit like paying for a small vacation, only without the fun. Over there, prices can be double what you pay in the States, thanks to taxes, the cost of importing fuel, and the fact that you're paying per litre and not per gallon. Here in the US, I remember filling up for the first time and thinking, okay, is this a mistake? Did I miss some sort of surcharge or tax somewhere? Or did the tank not fill all the way up? No, just American gas prices are much more friendly to your wallet. I'm pretty sure if America had to pay Irish prices for their gas, a revolution would have happened already. I mean, last time I checked in Dublin, Ireland, you'd be paying about $4.78 per gallon. And yes, I already did the conversion for you. But it could be worse though, because in the Netherlands, they're actually paying $6.50 per gallon. Now, not that the USA isn't playing catch-up with prices, but a quick map survey that I did will show you that gas prices here in Oregon can range from about $2.80 to $3.95. However, keep in mind that in the USA, there's also a lot of loyalty programs that can knock anywhere from 5 cents to $1 per gallon off your gas prices. Now, trust me, these loyalty programs are a terrible idea. They're bad value for customers, and I'll talk about why in another podcast. But let's just say overall, it's a way to ensure big stores can keep overcharging you for goods while making it seem like they're offering you great discounts. They are not. However, something else to keep in mind, and that's gas stations themselves. You see, back in the olden days, a gas station was literally just that. A place you pull up, get out of your car, put gas in, pay the person at the counter, drive off. Simple. Not anymore though. You see, gas stations kind of expanded to become grocery stores. Need an emergency carton of milk before the next big shop? Pick one up at the gas station. Need a loaf of bread before the next big shop? Pick one up at the gas station. However, then they realised that if they expanded and became bigger, people might just do all their shopping at gas stations and bypass the supermarkets and chain stores completely. In fact, gas stations have now become such an essential stop for travellers that now it's not unusual for a gas station to offer showers, toys for the kids, restaurants, electronics, and some of them even have amusement parks built into them. And of course, not to be outdone, the big supermarkets and grocery stores now sell gas at their own pumps. I mean, trust me, when I first came to the States, I was amazed to find a gas station that actually had a Burger King operating out of it. I mean, right there beside the cash register was a little mini fryer, heat lamp, 2 people working it, filling orders while you paid for your gas. Now, I'm shocked these days to find a gas station that's not selling burgers, fries, firewood, car accessories, portable DVD players, and apparently caffeinated bodybuilding Prozac. I assume that's what those tablets are, but they do guarantee to make you harder for longer and keep her happy. So here's the question that's going to be on everyone's mind. Who has the very worst drivers, Ireland or America? Look, back home in Ireland, we have our fair share of terrible drivers and the infamous tractor traffic jams. But here in the States, the highways are a whole different level. I mean, who thought it was a good idea to let people drive 70 miles an hour while eating a cheeseburger and texting? And yeah, I'm sorry, if you claim you've never seen that, well then, you're driving with your eyes closed, which is even more dangerous. Now, I've seen my fair share of insanity in both countries. Back in Ireland, AC/DC was playing a concert once, and I'm barreling down the M7, which is a fairly large Irish motorway. Now, I'm doing the speed limit, but the next thing I know, every single car in front of me slams on its brakes. Turns out a few cars up, someone in the right-hand lane had missed their exit, so what did? They slammed on their brakes, drove across 2 lanes of traffic to get to their exit, and didn't care about what was happening behind them. Now, I was lucky, I had enough stopping distance, but a few cars back, that wasn't the case. As I drove off and looked in the rearview mirror, I could see one car had a caved-in front, and the other car had been spun around with a caved-in rear. Their cars and days were completely ruined by one selfish, dumbass driver. In the US, however, I have to admit, y'all kind of take it to extreme levels. I mean, I'm driving through St. John's one day and there's some woman driving towards me, starting to go over the centre line heading towards my car. Why? Because she'd obviously just been to the hairdressers, had her hair dyed pink and felt it was important to get that selfie as she's driving. She's fluffing up and primping her hair with one hand while holding up the phone in the other hand, looking at her trying to take the perfect selfie while driving her frickin' car. I mean, seriously. I've seen road rage braking, people not knowing which lane to be in when at a junction, or maybe just not caring, people colliding with each other. I even saw a van downtown reverse into a stopped car behind them and then try and get out and blame the other driver for hitting them. And for some reason, they didn't appreciate me having footage on dashcam and giving a copy to the other driver. There's also the American driving rules. If, for instance, you have a lifted truck with oversized tyres, then there's a rule stating that you have to try and scrape the paint off the bumper from the car in front of you. And in America, you're all quick to prove that one fact, that a bad driver never misses their exit. Then we have the safety of the cars. I mean, in Ireland, you have to have tax and insurance to drive your car. These are displayed on a small paper disc that are stuck in a window of every car, along with the VIN number and license plate, just to make sure all the details match. You then have the NCT, which is a national car test, and all cars have to be brought to the centre to be tested. I think it's like once a year, or maybe once every 2 years. But your brakes have to work, the lights have to work, the tyres have to have enough tread on them. It's like a complete safety check to make sure the car is safety drive on the roads. Whereas over here in the States, from what I've seen on various car crash channels, a license and insurance seems to be optional. If you can run away fast enough from a crash scene, you don't have to worry about having either of them. Police can't pull you over for fear of being accused of police brutality, and on top of that, never have I seen so many cars with bald tyres and no headlights. I mean, literally, I saw a car the other day that had no headlights. It just had 2 silver reflective discs put where the headlights should have been. And not only that, when it turned a corner, all this liquid came pouring out from underneath the car and the smell of gasoline suddenly filled the air. In America, they don't seem to care if drivers or cars are safe to drive, and to me, that is just insane. So who does win the title of the world's worst driver? Well, I'll let you decide based on what I've just said, but let's say both countries have their unique quirks. So I think that leaves one inevitable question: would I rather drive on the roads in the USA or Ireland? And that's a hard one, although that could be a side effect of those gas station pills. Ireland has some fantastic scenery for driving, that's for sure. I mean, anyone who's driven around the Ring of Kerry will tell you how amazing it looks. However, what you may not enjoy is realizing that the road is only one lane wide and you've just come across a busload of tourists, meaning you're going to have to reverse quite a while to get to like a gap where the bus can get past you and hopefully not scrape all the paint off your car. However, what America has is the road trip. I mean, you just don't get to embark on a 4 or 5 day road trip in Ireland like you do here. Even if you were to spend all that time driving around Ireland, it's like, okay, day one, you're in a small Irish town with a few pubs and restaurants. Day two, you drive 30 minutes, you end up in a small Irish town with a few pubs and restaurants. Day three, you drive for 30 minutes, you end up in a large city with lots of pubs and lots of restaurants. Day four, well, you can kind of see the problem. I mean, no matter where you go in Ireland, it's kind of all the same. In the States, though, you can drive for 6 or 7 hours on day one, and then you end up at the coast or you end up at the mountains. You can go skiing at a resort, you can rent an off-roader and go speeding through the dunes or go extreme off-roading. You can even go on that road trip in a nice fast sports car, a big jacked up Jeep, or even rent an off-roading camper van. You could end up in a major city, or you can end up in a ghost town where you're in the middle of nowhere gazing up the stars at night while avoiding inbred axe murderers. The point is that Ireland might have some of the most beautiful scenery you've ever seen, but I think America has the most variation in scenery that you've ever seen. And it's not just in terms of things to do, places to go, but also in how you get there. Honestly, if you're an American tourist heading to Ireland, you're going to enjoy seeing the castles, you're going to enjoy those quaint pubs, you're going to enjoy a good old trad session at those pubs that you go to, and you're going to love the scenery and the greenery. But if you're an Irish tourist visiting the States, if you don't plan on embarking on a road trip, then trust me, you're missing out on one of the best adventures of a lifetime and one of the best adventures that America has to offer. So folks, honestly, I mean, I think both are similar, both are comparable, while both are completely different. Yeah, that makes as much sense as I usually do. So folks, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit subscribe, leave a review, or share it with your mates. And hey, I'd love to hear your stories about driving abroad or dealing with bad drivers. Send them in. I might even feature them on the next episode. And next time, we're going to talk about car repair and why you need to learn to do it. So folks, thanks for tuning in. And until next time, stay safe out there on whichever side of the road you're driving.